Okay, so this is going to be a video exploring some different ideas on limiting, specifically stealing some ideas from Pro-L 2 and from Newfangled Elevate, and kind of approximating them with Bitwig Stock. So if we look at Pro-L 2, this basically seems to have two stages, one transient stage and one release stage. The transient stage is a fast acting stage, and the release stage is almost like a limiter, like a compressor that has a bit of a knee, and it has an attack time and the release time as well. It's gonna let some transient through. If we just use the quick acting stage, we see here just transients. And then if we get this in, it has some release time, but it's only gonna act after a certain attack time. So we can kind of remake this just using Compressor Plus and the Bitwig limiter. And now my audio engine crashed again, because that's what betas do. Yeah, I just want to use Compressor Plus for this, so never mind. I'm gonna use this for the body stage, and then I'm gonna use a normal limiter for the transient stage. So we just want this kind of, I'm gonna get a tool for input gain, acting quickly. But we do want a bit of release, so don't get too much distortion, also because we're gonna add some stuff later. Something like this. So this is just the normal transient stage, and we're later gonna compare this to like a normal peak limiter. Then we want the body stage. We're gonna go to smooth mode here just for minimal distortion. Gonna set auto timing all the way up, I guess. And then we want quite a bit of attack time. So this basically lets the transients through. We want threshold at 0 dB, infinite ratio, and a little bit of a knee. So after this, it's still gonna be peaking, but it's gonna be kind of riding the gain fader into the limiter. So there's no, if the whole song is very loud, there's no unnecessary work being done by the limiter. It's just staying turned down. So a long release here. Bit more knee maybe. So this is kind of riding the fader into the limiter. And now we can probably push this quite a bit, and we're gonna do this just to compare it to a normal limiter. I'm not gonna gain match these because this is specifically about loudness and kind of seeing what we can push harder. So these are both gonna be pushed at the same volume, and we also want to hear the difference in distortion, I guess. Although I should probably gain match these actually, just so we actually hear the distortion only and don't really hear the difference in volume, because the thing with just the limiter is probably going to be a fair bit louder. So basically this is like a Pro-L simulation. This is gonna be the normal version, and then we're just gonna hit gain learn on both. So yeah, that's quite loud. Actually, if we want to be smart, we're just gonna put these tools in here, so the gain of the tool gets compensated with the rest of the gain. That would probably be cleverer. So we've got tools in here pushing these by 10 dB each. And then we're gonna hit gain learn. This always takes quite some time. Wish we could gain learn both of these at the same time. What we're gonna kind of get, I'm gonna name this a basic limiter. And then this is gonna be our lever limiter. That's gonna do a bit more stuff to it. We're gonna add some more features later. Just gonna wait for the gain learn to finish. I wish they let you add some kind of option here to adjust the timing of this, so it only learns for like 10 seconds or whatever, but I guess that's not possible for now. I wonder if it's just got hung up. I'm gonna start the gain learning again here. Just because it takes so long, and I wonder if it's just a beta bug or something. Just gonna let you enjoy the music a bit while this kind of rattles on. Actually, I'm gonna pause the recording until this finishes. I'm gonna do the gain learn for both. Yo, so the gain learning has finished. I've got the clever limiter, I've got the basic limiter. And I'm just gonna play with the results and maybe you're gonna hear a difference. I hope the clever limiter is gonna be a lot cleaner. This is the clever one. Yep, you can hear the basic one, where it doesn't really adjust the input gain of the limiter, distorting quite a bit. And this is just a lot cleaner if you listen to the basses and stuff. Because this compressor is kind of controlling this gain before the limiter. I'm gonna let some more transient through actually. And just gonna let the limiter deal with these transients. So yeah, this is already a bit nicer. Now there's this other limiter, Newfangled Elevate, which is very popular with mastering people. And this has kind of an interesting feature where it transient shapes the sound after the limiter. So it adds in the transients and just pushes them into a clipper. I'm not going to be able to remake all of the spectral fancy stuff this is doing. But the basic idea of just adding a transient shaper after a limiter is something that we can do here. So we're gonna get a transient control. And the reason we're gonna use this before the limiter is that I want this to react to the transients of the sound before it has been limited. So it reacts to the original, and in theory this should be a bit more transparent. Then I'm gonna get a tool. And this tool is gonna push these into over, which is the Bitwig clipper. And we're gonna turn on PCM clipping because we really don't want any overshoots here. I think PCM clipping, let me just quickly have a look here. Yeah, I think this should also still do the over clipping. So I'm gonna give it a little bit of knees so it's a bit soft in the clipping. Then I'm gonna have a look at this transient control here. And then I want this to kind of push these transient into a clipper a bit. I wish this was a bit of a cleaner transient detection. You could use like your own transient detector you made in the grid, but for now I'm just gonna use this for demo purposes. So basically what we've got is we've got a leveler here that levels the sound before the limiting. Then we've got the limiter just taking down the transients. Then we've got a tool after the limiter taking the transients from before the limiting and kind of reintroducing them. Gonna set this to RMS to get it a bit cleaner, and then we've got a tool pushing these transients into this clipper here. And you can kind of decide how soft or hard you want your clipping. And because Newfangled Elevate does some fancy multiband stuff, we might as well set this to Prism, so it also does some subtle multiband processing. And once again, I'm gonna get these chains here. And then I'm just gonna gain match them again for you. Pause the recording and then play you again back the clever limiter and the basic limiter, and maybe play with the input gain some more. So yeah. Yo. So I'm back. I've gain matched these both, and I'm just gonna play you back the result. I'm gonna start with the basic limiter, and then I'm gonna switch to the supposedly clever limiter, and I guess let you decide which sounds better to you. Gonna switch. Gonna switch back to basic again. And back to clever. So yeah, I personally think clever sounds quite a bit cleaner. I'm gonna set up another example where I just really push the input gain, and I'm gonna gain match these again and pause the recording, and then I'll give you another demo where maybe it's even more exaggerated in a second. So yeah, I've added another 16 dB of gain, so now you're really gonna be able to hear it. I've gain matched these again. I'm just gonna play you the examples and you're gonna hear the difference. I really, really hope you're gonna hear the difference. This is the clever version. And of course you can set this up quite a bit more sophisticatedly. This is just a very hacky kind of improvised version of this setup. If you're actually gonna master your album with this, you probably want to spend a bit more time. I'm gonna switch to the basic naive limiter. And you can hear how it's completely destroying the sound because of the unreasonable amount of input gain we're pushing into it. Gonna back to the clever. Now of course this isn't perfectly clean, but for the amount of input gain we're adding here, this is really not that bad. So yeah, if you've just got Bitwig Stock, I would probably actually use this setup. Over just a normal limiter. Gonna go back to the basic. Sounds really bad. So yeah, that was my attempt of getting some ideas from Pro-L and from Newfangled Elevate and kind of implementing them in a very basic and maybe a bit stupid and hacky way in Bitwig. That is still surprisingly effective. Shout out to Jade JSH stuff, I think his name is. He got me thinking about this in a comment under a recent video. He's also made some cool videos. I think he's made like a Soothe and Bitwig and stuff like that. So you've probably seen his stuff. He has this distortion thingy with the distortion that doesn't remove dynamics and stuff. Yeah. So this is my attempt at doing like Pro-L and Elevate in Bitwig without the spectral stuff, but still surprisingly effective. Hope you found this helpful. Maybe this will help you master some of your music a bit more cleanly, and you'll probably have a more subtle and nuanced and reasonable approach to all this, but might still find these ideas useful. So yeah, thanks for watching. See ya.